The craziest part about leads in real estate is this. Did you know that in 2016, 16.9 million leads were sold by Zillow alone? Now, Zillow doesn't release their information all that often, not on a year-over-year basis anyway, but that was in 2016. The internet's only gotten more popular, right? More mobile in hand. And even though sales have gone down, so there might be a little less interest, I'd imagine that number went up. And that's just Zillow alone. Think about Trulia and Realtors.com and Homes.com and Movoto and Google pay-per-click to so many people's sites. I'm going to guess that there's over 100 million leads sold. Here's crazy part number one. There was only 4.1 million homes sold last year. So if you look at buyer side and seller side, and let's say all of them had representation on both sides, you're talking about 8.2 million transactions. But yet 100 million or so leads were likely sold. Now here's crazy part number two. And this to me is the absolute craziest part of them all, which is that every single one of those leads, I'm literally saying there's not even one that this doesn't apply to. They were all at least one real estate agent's sphere of influence. Yeah, you heard that right. Your sphere of influence is out there shopping on Zillow and Realtor.com and so many other places, and you're not capturing them. Why? Why is that happening? Why are you not getting your fair share? Well, it's oftentimes because you're a secret agent. Now, you might not think you are. You might be like, no, I'm out there all the time. I'm handing out business cards. I'm talking about real estate. But are you showing up where your sphere of influence is actually looking? Now, again, your best friends, your really close relatives, coworkers, maybe past colleagues from another company, well, that might be the case. But I can tell you I have a first-hand situation where that didn't apply. Somebody came in and asked me one day if I knew an electrician. And I immediately said, nobody that I could think of. Ironically, a childhood friend from 5th grade that moved from New York to Las Vegas like I did, he was an electrician. And I don't know how the universe works, but he happened to call me the next day after not speaking to him for 2 or 3 years because we're not very close as friends. We grew up together but didn't maintain a friendship for a long period of time. But he saw me on Facebook at a pretty constant level, and he knew I did real estate. Well, he calls me and he says, hey, Alex, I'm thinking about buying a house. All the dust is settled from my divorce a couple of years ago. I've got some money in the bank and I want to move forward. And I talked to him about the house, and I got off the phone and I immediately did the little palm to forehead where I was like, oh my gosh, he is an electrician. Now, to leave names out of it, I'm going to call him Bob. But ultimately, when somebody said electrician did not equal Bob. As soon as I heard Bob's name, Bob's voice, him calling me, it did equal electrician. So there's a lot of people that you may know in a particular area, whether it's auto mechanic or a tutor for children or what have you, and they're an acquaintance of yours. Maybe they're a friend, but not a super close friend. And somebody will say, do you know a tutor? And you say, let me think about it. No, I don't know a tutor. Then somebody says to you, hey, what does Ralph do? And you go, oh, Ralph's a tutor. So yes, Ralph equals tutor, but tutor doesn't equal Ralph. Well, that happens a lot, and especially in our business. If you are not showing up as relevant on a regular basis, then you are out of sight, out of mind. You've heard that cliche before. Well, it holds so true when it comes to our business. And you know why? Because they're just not thinking about it. They haven't needed a house. They haven't been buying one over the last little bit, and now all of a sudden they are, or maybe a friend or a relative is, and you're thinking, man, that would be a great referral. However, it doesn't go to you. It goes to Zillow and requests more information. It goes to Google and types in a search. Well, you got to put an end to that. You got to make sure you're showing up when and where they're at. That means showing up on social media. And the way you do that is you comment, you like, you do things on social media, keep your audience engaged. You show up on other platforms, Instagram and LinkedIn. You call your sphere on a quarterly basis. You send them cards, maybe they're holiday cards or maybe a quick text or an email. You make sure that you are engaging with them on a regular basis and make sure they're in your darn CRM. I know so many people that don't upload their phone to their CRM. Well, guess what? If you do, even if you don't have all their email addresses, you've got their phone numbers in there. Well, you could be texting them kind of market updates. You could be texting them links to your blog or to your monthly or weekly newsletter. There's so many things that you could be doing to make sure that your sphere, that the people that know you, they already like you, and they probably trust you a little bit. They're getting the information from you to make sure that you do stay top of mind when it comes to real estate. Now, this does not have to be anything where you're pounding them over the head and saying, hey, if you're looking to buy or sell, please call me. Do you know anybody looking to buy or sell? You don't need to bring it up in an obnoxious way and come off with commission breath on every conversation. Just make sure that they know that you're there and you're adding value. By the way, I've heard a lot of people say, well, some of my sphere just doesn't want to share their information with me. They're a little bit concerned about sharing their financials, or, they just don't trust me like that. Well, if they know you and like you and trust you as a friend or an acquaintance, then it's just that you have not built the authority. You have not actually earned their trust in that regard. Now, there's an anomaly here and there where somebody, it's just too close for comfort. I get it. I've been in that situation a couple times where, maybe somebody knows somebody that I knew in the past, and I just want to make sure that confidentiality is there, and, so I don't want to do something. But it's really, really rare. Most of the people that won't share that with you, it's because you have not earned their trust in that particular vertical of life. You have not earned their trust to know exactly where they're at from a financial standpoint, what they qualify for a loan standpoint, because they're worried that you don't know exactly what you're doing because you haven't proven to them that you do. Well, where's the proof? In making sure that you're posting about the families that you've helped, in making sure, not bragging, but talking a little bit about the business, what you know about the business, what's happening, telling stories that are anecdotal about somebody that you've helped. And again, this isn't something in regards to, I helped this family, I'm so proud that they got their home, blah, blah, blah. It's, I was working with somebody and they were concerned about the interest rates. And, I would say that they're, in the same situation. They're really just like you. And this is what the outcome was. Right? So when you're telling stories like that, then all of a sudden it just starts to bubble up in their head. You're not bragging about anything you're doing. You're talking about real life things that have happened, and it starts bubbling up in their head, and they start kind of adding this cumulative total of, wow, he was talking about this person and she was talking about that person and they were talking about this person, and man, they must do a lot of business. Well, if you must do a lot of business, it's kind of like the restaurant, right? I'm more willing to wait for 20 minutes at a restaurant that I've heard is good, and it's clearly showing that it's good because there's a wait, versus going to the one down the street that's 75% empty. So be the full restaurant. Make sure you're telling the stories. Make sure that you're congratulating people. Make sure that you show your involvement in the business every step of the way. And that's how you'll capture your sphere. Now, remember, if we have 100 million lead opportunities going out there, and there's only 8 million buyers, that's a 12x number over the buyers. Don't let your 100, 150, 200 people in your sphere be any part of that, let alone send their information out 8 times, once to Zillow, once to Realtor, once to pay-per-click campaign, once to this, that, the other thing. Build that moat around your clients and make sure that you are the only resource they're thinking about when it comes to real estate and doing their next transaction or referring you one of their family members, friends, colleagues, or coworkers.